Welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise to get to the essential insights. And today we're diving into a sector that's maybe not top of mind, but it's absolutely foundational. We're talking about the global market for dam building tower cranes.
Yeah.
Sounds specific, right? But our source material is this really detailed market outlook, packed with data. And our mission today, well, is to figure out what's driving the, honestly, pretty impressive growth here. What's the global impact, and how does it all connect back to our world? Okay, let's get into it.
It's fascinating, actually, how one piece of equipment, these tower cranes, tells such a big story about global trends. So the overall market, back in 2021, it was valued at, let's see, $2,512.77 million, so over $2.5 billion.
Okay.
And it's projected to grow quite a bit, up to $4,659.9 million by 2033.
Wow, nearly double.
Exactly. That's a steady compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of about 5.28%. Pretty solid.
And what's behind that steady climb?
Well, it's mainly these huge dam construction projects you hear about. Plus, the big push for renewable energy, especially hydropower. And also just expanding water infrastructure, hydraulic systems in both developed countries and emerging economies, too.
Right. It makes you wonder how those big global drivers actually, play out on the ground in different places.
Precisely. Which brings us nicely to the regional breakdown.
Okay, so where should we start? North America. It's usually a big piece of the puzzle.
It is definitely a key revenue contributor.
So the numbers there, in 2021, it was $721.67 million. And the forecast sees it hitting $1,258.899 million by 2033. That's a growth rate of 4.85%. Still pretty strong.
Yeah, solid growth. And within North America, if we look ahead to 2033, the U.S. is expected to be the giant, contributing over $1 billion itself. 1,004.09 million, actually.
$1 billion just for these cranes in the U.S.
Yeah. Then you've got Canada, around $159 million, and Mexico at about $96 million. And Mexico's growth is interesting, a healthy 5.02% CAGR. That's really being pushed by their ongoing efforts to modernize water infrastructure.
Ah, so it's not just new builds, but upgrades too.
Exactly. Targeted investments like that create these significant market segments. It's often about making existing systems safer, more efficient.
Makes sense. Okay, so from North America, let's hop across the pond to Europe. Europe's projected to go from about $550 million in 2021 up to nearly $980 million by 2033. The growth rate there, 5.09%. Also quite steady.
Great. And within Europe, a couple of key players stand out. The UK expected to generate around $118 million by 2033, and Germany is projected to reach almost $186 million.
Germany's leading the pack there then.
Yeah, Germany's got the highest TAGR in the region, 5.51%. That's really supported by specific things like dam refurbishments, upgrading older dams, and expanding their hydropower capacity.
Interesting. Refurbishments playing a big role.
Definitely. And you also see consistent growth across France. That's nearly $100 million by 2033. Italy, Russia, Spain. It's a pretty stable picture across the continent.
Okay. Stable in Europe, solid in North America. But I get the feeling the story gets more dramatic elsewhere.
That's where it gets really interesting, yes. We need to talk about Asia Pacific.
Right. This is the thriving market, the one with the most impressive growth, isn't it?
Absolutely. The numbers are quite something. It jumped from $904.6 million in 2021 to an expected $1,770.46 million by 2033.
Whoa, almost $1.8 billion.
Yeah. And look at the CAGR, 5.92%. Clearly the fastest growing region.
So who are the main drivers there? China, I assume.
China's the biggest, for sure, projected to hit over $720 million. And that's driven by, well, their huge domestic mega dam projects, obviously, but also, significantly, the Belt and Road Initiative. Think about all that infrastructure being built across Asia and beyond.
So China's exporting the demand, in a way.
In a very real way, yes. But it's not just China. India is a massive growth engine, too. Its CAGR is forecast at a very robust 6.41%, reaching over $345 million.
India's growth is really accelerating there.
It really is. And then you've got Japan, South Korea, Southeast Asia, all showing stable, strong growth, too. I mean, if you connect this to the bigger picture, the sheer scale and speed of development in Asia-Pacific is, well, it's truly remarkable.
No kidding. Okay, shifting gears again. What about South America? The forecast there looks pretty strong, too. Growing from about $133 million in 2021 to over $307 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 5.48%.
Yeah, another region with really healthy growth. Brazil is the largest contributor there, forecast to generate over $107 million.
Okay.
But pay attention to Colombia and Chile as well. They're posting KGRs above 5.6%.
And what's driving it there specifically?
It seems to be specific energy infrastructure upgrades and also, importantly, dam safety programs,
Wow.
ensuring existing dams are secure.
Right. Critical national priorities. Makes you think how things like dam safety directly create demand for this kind of heavy machinery.
Exactly. These national priorities translate directly into tangible market demand.
Okay. Let's move on to the Middle East. The market there reached $122 million or so in 2021, and it's forecast to hit about $203 million by 2033.
Right. Now, the CAGR there is a bit lower, 3.86%.
So slower growth than other regions.
A bit slower, yes, but what it really underscores is the underlying stability from ongoing infrastructure projects. It's steady. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, they're driving investments, but specifically focused on things like water retention projects.
Water scarcity being a major issue.
Precisely. Building reservoirs, managing water resources, and also diversifying into renewable energy projects.
Yeah.
It's like a fascinating regional focus here, tackling water scarcity and shifting the energy mix creates a very specific kind of demand.
Interesting distinction. Yeah. Okay, let's round out the regional tour with Africa. Seeing rising demand there, too, expected to grow from roughly $81 million in 2021 to about $141 million by 2033. That's a 4.44% CAGR.
Yep, growing demand. Nigeria looks set to lead that growth, projected at over $35 million by 2033. And then you have South Africa and the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. What's key there is the increase in foreign direct investment, FDI.
Right.
And that investment is often going specifically into hydropower projects and essential water management solutions. It's part of that broader development story.
So a truly global picture then. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, a lot of numbers. What's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for global development?
I think the core insight is pretty clear. This market for dam building tower cranes, it's got real momentum worldwide.
Yeah.
We see that particularly rapid acceleration in places like Asia Pacific, South America. But North America and Europe are still generating really strong, steady revenue. It's not just an emerging market story.
It's global.
It's definitely global. And if you connect it to the bigger picture themes, sustainability goals, climate resilience planning, rising energy demand.
All the big challenges.
Exactly. This market is just set to remain absolutely vital in global development strategies for, well, at least the next decade, probably longer.
It really does sound foundational, for clean energy, water security.
Yeah. Food security indirectly, too. It underpins so much else.
It really makes you think. Given how critical these massive structures and the cranes that build them are for energy, water, climate resilience, how might our whole idea of essential infrastructure change in the coming years? And, what other industries that seem kind of niche right now, like these huge cranes, might actually turn out to be unexpected cornerstones for our future?
That's a great question to ponder.
Definitely something for you, our listeners, to reflect on. How something so specific connects to the huge challenges and opportunities ahead for the planet. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a market you might not think about every day, but it's absolutely crucial. We're talking about dam building tower cranes. Those huge machines you see on massive construction sites. Our information for this deep dive comes from some really detailed analysis by Cognitive Market Research. And our goal here is simple. Understand the forces shaping this sector. Because these cranes, they're literally building our future water and power infrastructure. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
It really is. And, it might sound like a very specific niche, but understanding it is, well, it's vital. These aren't just big bits of metal. They're fundamental to global development, how we manage resources, and definitely to achieving sustainable energy goals.
Absolutely.
When you think about dams, you're talking power, water supply, flood control, stuff that impacts millions.
Okay, so clearly a big deal. Given that impact, what's actually driving the growth?
Yeah.
Why the increasing demand for these massive cranes right now?
Well, a major driver, and Cognitive Market Research really highlights this, is the big global shift towards hydropower. It's not just about clean energy anymore. People are recognizing hydropower's unique role in grid stability. It can store energy, you see.
Ah, right. That storage aspect is key.
Exactly. And you combine that with flood control, irrigation, it makes building large dams a very attractive proposition again. So more dams, more need for these specialized cranes.
That makes perfect sense. It's the whole package, not just the power, But is it just about more projects, or is the technology itself changing things? Are these cranes different now?
Oh, definitely. Technology is a huge piece of the puzzle. Modern tower cranes are, well, they're smarter. We're talking much better safety features, remote control systems, which are critical, and just sheer lifting power.
Remote control for something that massive.
Yes, exactly. And think about what that enables. You can operate them in really difficult remote locations where maybe you couldn't before. Plus, you have things like advanced diagnostics predicting maintenance needs, which cuts down on that expensive downtime.
So the tech is making previously tough projects more feasible. How does that connect with, say, what's happening in emerging economies?
It ties in directly. Another big driver is rapid urbanization and the massive need for better water management in many parts of the world.
Right, growing cities need more water, more flood protection.
Precisely. So you see more dam projects popping up to meet those basic needs: drinking water, irrigation, safety from floods. And each of those projects needs robust, scalable tower crane systems. It's a very clear link back to infrastructure development and those sustainability goals we mentioned.
It really paints a picture of interconnected needs driving this. But like any industry, especially one this big and complex, it can't all be smooth sailing. What are some of the hurdles? Where does it get tricky?
Well, the first thing you hit is usually cost. The sheer capital investment needed for these cranes is enormous. And it's not just buying them. The maintenance costs are significant too. So for smaller contractors or maybe regions with tighter budgets, that initial cost can be a major barrier. It really limits who can take on these kinds of projects.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then there's the location itself, right? Dams aren't usually built next to the highway.
Not typically, no. You're often dealing with really difficult terrain. Mountainous areas, very remote sites.
So just getting the crane there must be a challenge.
It's a massive logistical operation. Transporting the components, assembling them on site, operating them safely in those conditions. It adds layers and layers of complexity.
Wow. And on top of the cost and the location, what else? Regulations?
Exactly. Environmental and safety regulations are, quite rightly, very strict. You're bringing heavy machinery into often ecologically sensitive areas, so the compliance burden, the planning needed, it all adds time and cost.
Right.
It forces this constant balancing act, between the need for the infrastructure and the responsibility to protect the environment. It really shapes how feasible a project is.
Okay, so significant hurdles. Costs, terrain, regulations. How is the industry adapting? What are the trends shaping the future here?
Well, one really transformative trend is the integration of IoT, the Internet of Things.
Ah, connecting the cranes.
Essentially, yes. Embedding sensors everywhere. They give you real-time data on performance, load tracking, diagnostics. It even allows for predictive maintenance. The system can flag potential issues before they cause a breakdown.
That sounds like a massive boost for both efficiency and safety.
It really is. Knowing exactly what the crane is doing and knowing it's operating safely is invaluable on these complex sites.
Okay, IoT is one. What else is changing how things are done?
Another key trend is the move towards modular and customizable crane designs.
Meaning you can sort of build the crane for the specific job?
Pretty much, yes. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, you get flexible systems you can adapt to the unique demands of a particular dam site. This speeds things up considerably and makes the whole process more cost-effective. You tailor the tool precisely to the task.
That adaptability must be huge, especially with those tricky locations you mentioned.
Definitely. And then there's a really interesting shift happening in the business model itself.
Oh, how so?
We're seeing a significant move away from construction companies buying these massive cranes outright. Instead, they're increasingly choosing to rent or lease them.
Ah, that makes sense. Lowers that huge upfront capital cost we talked about.
Exactly. It makes these projects more accessible, and of course, it creates big opportunities for the companies that specialize in renting and leasing these cranes. It's changing the economics of the whole sector.
So it's quite a dynamic picture then. You have global energy and water needs pushing demand, technology making cranes smarter and more adaptable, and even the business models evolving. These tower cranes really do seem indispensable for building the future of hydropower and water management, especially as dam projects pick up speed globally.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. When you step back and think about it, These huge cranes enable the creation of structures, the dams themselves, that have such a lasting legacy. They're more than just infrastructure. They stand as these, well, really profound symbols of human engineering, our ability to reshape the environment on a massive scale. It really makes you consider the long-term impact, doesn't it? Not just the power or the water, but how these immense projects ripple through society and the environment for generations. It's that ongoing balance between our ambition and our stewardship.
That's a powerful way to frame it. The enduring legacy of what we build. And there you have it, a deep dive into the world of dam building tower cranes. We hope this gave you a solid understanding of this critical and honestly quite fascinating market. Join us next time for another deep dive.